Welcome to part 2 of this little mini-series on how to navigate the scientific research. And then for part 2, I would like you to have open the research paper by Moore and colleagues, the leisure time physical activity of moderate to vigorous intensity and mortality, a large pooled analysis, and also as well to open up the worksheet, which is going to guide you through a review of this particular paper, and I'm going to work through this example with you. So, as we look at the paper, remember first of all we would have taken a look at the journal quality, and the journal's +1, and you'll begin to note that that is an open access journal, and it's a journal with a good reputation. And then the first part of how I would like you to work through this paper is to go ahead and skim the abstract. Abstract is always at the start, so remember, about a 30-second skim, just to see really the basics of what was the purpose of the study and the key findings. So if you have then taken that 30 seconds or so just to skim through the abstract, if we follow along and see in this particular worksheet, you will see that underneath abstract, it's going to ask you a question. What did the authors attempt to discover by doing this study? It may not be very clear yet, but briefly summarize as best as you can. So I have answered this question after reading the abstract. I came up with a pooling of prospective cohort studies looking at the relationship between physical activity and broken down by body mass index categories and years of life gained. Well, what was the big discovery or finding in this study? Again, may not be very clear, but briefly summarize. So what I found was that, well, based on the abstract and my reading, a greater level of physical activity was associated with greater gains in life expectancy. In combined physical activity and body mass index analyses, being active and normal BMI equated to a gain of 7.2 years of life expectancy when compared with being inactive and of an obese BMI. So that quick skim would give you a basic synopsis of what is taking place in this particular study. And here you would then move forward to the last paragraph of the introduction. So if we go ahead and do that, you will see here's the introduction, and there is 1, 2, 3 paragraphs, and this is going to be the last paragraph that I would like you to jump to. So if you quickly read this last paragraph, okay, done that. Coming across to the worksheet to work your way through. Point number 2, what was the purpose, the aims, objective, or hypothesis of this study? Or in other words, what were the authors trying to figure out by conducting this study? So after reading this last paragraph of the introduction, this is what I came up with. To determine the change in mortality risk and life expectancy across different levels of physical activity and body mass index. So very quickly, we have a general synopsis of the whole paper from skimming the abstract. And now by reading the last paragraph of the introduction, we really have honed in on what is the purpose and hypothesis of this particular study. So that's all I would like to cover in part 2. And in part 3, we're going to move through the next components of a scientific review of a research paper.